Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Turning Grief into Growth. I'm Jennifer Santiago. And on this channel, I share insights from my personal grief journey going on 10 years now. After surviving a very traumatic loss in 2015, my fiance passed away and I discovered him in my home. And as you can imagine, that was extremely difficult to endure. Not just for the obvious reasons, but also because I was forced to endure this living overseas by myself. And right after that, 1 month later, my father passed away. So I found myself alone without the network that I had relied on. And it really forced me to lean in on the resilience tricks that I have used my entire life, specifically yoga and exercise and friendships, etc. So this is a chance for me to share some of those insights that I now have 10 years later. Today, we are going to talk about anger because anger gets a bad rap, but many of you have already heard, right, of the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance. And I may have said those out of order, but I don't think that matters because if you ask the experts, they will tell you that those of us who have gone through grief or who will go through grief experience those emotions in varying stages throughout the grief process. Anger is one of them. And I remember back in 2015 when I was seeing a psychiatrist. His name is Dr. Jeffrey Newport. He was at the University of Miami at the time. I believe now he's at Austin, Texas. So if you're looking for someone yourself, I highly, highly recommend Dr. Jeffrey Newport. But he was the one that introduced me to denial and anger together. And his thought was that there's grace in denial, that denial allows us to take in the horror of what happened in smaller doses. I believe that anger does the same. Anger allows us to take in the horror of what happened in small doses and allows us to process the injustice in a way that might be healthier than just pain. Let me give you an example. And I'm not proud of this, but after Felipe passed away, I would see couples, either people that were close to me, friends or family or folks at work, happy couples, or maybe they weren't even happy, but they were couples, they were together and they were alive. And that would piss me off. I was angry at the injustice that I had to endure life alone without Felipe while all these other people got to enjoy their significant other, whether or not they actually were enjoying them. Doesn't matter. The point was that I was angry. Guess what? That's healthy. Anger is normal when you're going through grief. So if you've reached this channel because you are searching for someone who understands what you're going through, I'm here to tell you that anger is normal when you're going through grief. But there's a way that we can channel our anger in healthier ways that are not self-destructive. So if you find the anger becoming self-destructive, then all right, it's time to take a break. But you can channel your anger towards something positive. So an example that I use from my personal experience is that I channeled my anger in the gym. And we all know how important physical exercise, movement is for resilience, for managing stress, for getting sleep at night. So if you have that feeling, if you are angry, find a way to channel it in a healthy way, like at the gym. If you are not the kind of person that likes to work out, try to find a way to become the person that likes to work out. I'm sorry to say this, but it is so important, not just to deal with the pain of loss, but for resilience across the board in our lives. So find a way to incorporate physical activity in your lives, whether it's lifting weights, CrossFit, hot yoga, walking, hiking, rucking, whatever it is, find a way to incorporate it into your life. I double down on incorporating anger into my physical activity routine by training for a marathon. I know that that's not something that a lot of people want to do, but you may have noticed that there are a lot of people who run marathons that do it after a loss. And I don't think that's a coincidence. In my case, I ran the New York City Marathon. This was right after Felipe died. I think this was February, March, April, May, June, July. 8 months later, I raised money for Team Pause. It's a no-kill shelter out of Chicago. It was a way to get into the marathon without actually like having a running score, I suppose, to get in. But you can get into marathons by raising money for a cause. And that's what I did to honor Felipe and also to find a way in. But I found that working out that intensely was a great way for me to deaden that anger. So I used it as energy, but I kind of just like killed it off slowly by the end of the day so that I was less angry, really, really tired, and able to sleep. And that's important because sleep is so important in life in general, but especially if you are dealing with grief. The bottom line here is, and I don't need to go too much into the science of this, you can certainly Google it on your own. But once again, 5 stages of grief. Anger is one of them, so it's normal. We are all going to feel it when we are grieving. If you're trying to support someone who's grieving and you notice they're angry, don't get in the way. Allow them to vent their frustration. Allow them to vent their anger. They have experienced an injustice. They need a way to express that. Try to be supportive, even if it means the anger is directed at you. I'm not proud of this either, but I had friends in my life who I was really close to. Shout out Big Al, who I directed a lot of anger towards, and she stuck with me. She understood it. And I have since apologized for it, but it's just a natural expression of the pain that we feel when we've lost someone. Injustice leads to anger. Anger can be a better way to deal with the grief. It certainly beats depression, although that's a stage in grief too, and we can discuss that. Probably I will do another video on depression and how to cope with depression while you're going through grief. No secret here, exercise is going to be a big part of that video as well. So anger, it's okay. Find a way to channel it, hopefully through something healthy like exercise. And again, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope that what I shared today brought you some relief, some solace. I found my anger to be positive when I was going through my loss, in the sense that I was able to channel it to do something positive, and that was to run a marathon in Felipe's memory and to raise money for a cause. Thank you again for being here today on Turning Grief into Growth. If you have any thoughts that you want to share, please leave it in the comments. Let me know if you are dealing with anger yourself and if you found a productive way to deal with anger. And I'll see you next time on Turning Grief into Growth. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.